Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew, and welcome to the tour of the Blackbird's Brew Discord server. For some little while, I have focused all of my community building efforts onto this server, and I'm very happy to say that I'm starting to see some success. People are starting to connect with one another, they're starting to interact, they are networking, they're web weaving, they're getting acquainted, people are becoming friends, and it's all the things that I hoped that it would be. Because at the end of the day, not all of us have the luxury of having a pagan community close by. And with gas prices being what they are, it's a little bit harder to drive and travel just to go and see if you would happen to get along with certain people. So let's take advantage of the technology that we have at our disposal and start creating oases. And that's really what has been my intention from the beginning of this server, to have that oasis for people to actually build a community and just not feel so isolated. Know that there are other like-minded people around who see the universe in a very similar way that you do. There's a lot to be said for that. And with all the crazy in the world, sometimes it's nice just to have someone else say, yes, that thing that's bothering you actually is crazy. It's not you. It's totally them. And I hear and I understand you. That can be a very powerful thing. So the reason why I chose Discord instead of focusing my efforts on, say, Facebook or MeWe or Minds or Gab or Twitter or anything else like that is because, bluntly put, those platforms kind of suck. I realize they're useful for some things. I use everything except for Facebook. Facebook pissed me off in 2020 and I haven't been back since. But they are useful up to a point. They're a useful way to get your information out there. If you are creating content, it is a way to let people know that you have content for them to find and interact with if they happen to be interested in. That's all well and good, but when was the last time you actually saw people get to know each other there? Really make friends on platforms like these, interact in a way. I mean, you see all kinds of back and forth, but it's usually the yelling and the sniping and all this and that. Where's the fun part? I mean, and that's what another problem I have with these other platforms. They just aren't fun because it isn't about the humans. It's about how people are keeping score with one another. I'm kind of bored of all that, and maybe you are as well. But on the Discord group, it is all about getting to know people. So if you'll notice in our graphic, we have several categories. They're all in capital letters, and that lets you know just the different categories of information that we currently have available at this time. If you don't see something and you would like to, I can 100% create that. All I ask is that you actually contribute to it, use it. And if you're asking for, a category or a new channel, make sure that it is something that you are passionate about, something you really want to share with people about. That way we can have that nice exchange of energies with people going back and forth instead of it just being another shout at the universe and nothing really happening kind of platform. We can prevent that. We don't have to do that. We are better than that. So under information, which I think it's always handy for people just to be able to see just basic things up front. First, we have welcome rules who are, obviously I welcome people to the server, let them know what our mission statement is, and let them know the rules, which essentially consists of being a decent human being. As long as a person is capable of doing that, it's all cool. Now, I haven't enabled the comment feature on the welcome and rules just because I've said kind of what I want to say in that category. It's more so just a placeholder that people can refer to. And if people are commenting and saying hello there, well, you're not going to have that. You're not going to be able to see immediately what was intended to be seen. So that's why I don't have the comments on in that. For a similar reason, in the next channel, announcements, I don't have the comments on just because if there is an announcement to be made, an event on the channel or anything else, really, it's about the announcement, not necessarily reactions to it. And if you have people comment on it, the announcement itself gets buried and it's a pain for people to find, and no one wants to do that. So just for simplification, I don't have the comments on and announcements. If you find that there is an announcement you would like to make, if let's say, you consult with me and you decided you were going to run a workshop on the Discord server, I would either give you permissions to access the announcement channel, or you could just tell me what you wanted to say and I would make the announcement for you. Either way, it'd be cool. Next channel, we have introductions where you can stop in, say hello. My name is, please call me X, Y, and Z. I'm on this particular path. I worship these gods, or I do this kind of craft, or I'm an explorer, and this is where I'm currently at with my spiritual explorations. And it's also a place where if you would like to tell us how you found us, let us know. I have been scattering invitations to the server like a bird seed throughout the internet, but sometimes we do get referrals where people say, oh, I'm part of this group. Would you like to join? And they send them an invitation, and that's how you find us. And, just let us know if you would like to. No pressure. And then the channel underneath introductions is the suggestions channel. This is a very important channel because I want to make sure that the content and how things are going remains useful, relevant, and enjoyable for all of the membership. So again, if there's a topic you really want to get into, but you don't see really a good spot for it, let me know. I can create a channel, I can create a category. Just make sure you use it. That's all I ask. Or if you have an idea, or if you want to have a group chat and you want it to focus on a particular topic, or you've been reading a book and you want to know if anyone else wants to form a book club with you, this is where you can bring those suggestions and we can start to coordinate and see if we can make something happen. So that's what that's all about. And then we will have another category. Now, our next category is the Hangout, and the first channel within it is the Chit Chat channel, which is exactly what it sounds like. This is just where people get together. They visit on any variety of topics, absolutely anything, pagan or mundane, day-to-day life, venting, spiritual what-if scenarios, philosophical discussions, the pictures of what they've been up to lately. This is where that's all shared. This is where people really converse and get to know each other. Now, the next channel is the current events and politics. I deliberately separated this out from the chit chat because I think we all have, well, at least most of us, we have a point at which we are full. And we have had all the politics and current events that we can possibly cope with for one day. And that's why I did separate it out from the chit chat. Not because I'm afraid of what people will say or that I want to tone down any sort of those discussions. I just want to make sure that if someone needs a break, that they can easily do that. Now, with current events, video links, articles, people's own work, thoughts that people have, any and everything along those lines, including some rather funny memes. That's all what this channel is for, including the venting and the ranting and the raving, because whew, we've got a lot going on in our society right now, and sometimes we just need to let off steam. But it's also a place where we can brainstorm together and think about, okay, X, Y, and Z is going wrong. What are some practical steps we can take today to really address that? What are some things we can do on the individual level? What can I advocate for publicly? What can I actually do? Because I find that stress is a lot more manageable if we have an idea of what we can actually do to alleviate that stress, or at least be proactive in confronting it. Now, the next channel below that is the library. You can find book recommendations here. You can find book reviews. And it's also a place for you to say, hey, I'm studying X, Y, and Z subject. I'm not really super happy with the material I'm finding. Could you recommend a good book for me to read? Or are there books that I should probably avoid for whatever reason? This is the place where you can ask about that. And we do have pretty regular updates on people's opinions and their impressions on books that they've recently read. And we have one member in particular who is very faithful about doing that. But that does it for the Hangout. And now for the Member Spotlight channel. This is something I'm very excited about because it turns the focus onto the members themselves. Blackbird's Brew is not and has never been about being the Brigantia show. If you want the Brigantia show, we've got YouTube, Rumble, and the BitChute channels. That takes care of that quite sufficiently. But the Member Spotlights, these are for people who are not only interactive into the community, but also have their own special projects, from YouTube channels to blogs, whatever it is that they do, they are working at it and they're trying to get some exposure and they're wanting to interact with their same pagan community. And essentially they're sharing a lot of the same values that I really base the creation of this server on. Now, of course, to have a member spotlight, not only must you have this special project that you're working at regularly and creating content, but also you need to be an interactive member of the group. That means commenting on what other people have to say, having conversations, showing up for events, and showing that you're really invested in becoming part of this community. So we do have the first channel, Two Cauldrons and the Goat. That is for the now defunct podcast. We do have episode links in that channel if that's something you would be interested in viewing. The next channel is Wiccan Conservative, who is a very active and a very loyal member of Blackbird's Brew. She does a ton of political commentary on YouTube, and that's what her channel is called, Wiccan Conservative. You can look her up. I highly recommend it. She's not just looking and analyzing at current events and just giving her opinion. She's really looking at it through pagan eyes, and it's so nice to have that perspective. So often when we're catching up on what's going on with the world, we get it from a secular perspective or an atheist perspective or, a Christian perspective. And I'm sure that's all very helpful for people who share that mindset. But for us pagans, our commentators, our public voices are a little fewer and far in between. And Wiccan Conservative, I am proud to say, is one of those voices. She's very analytical. She goes into detail. She brings the receipts to you, and she points you out to other resources so you can continue on with your own research, form your own opinions, and hopefully come up with ideas about what we can do to take back our society. So her channel is where you can not only find her video links, but also where you can interact with her, and she'll post a variety of stuff. It isn't just her politics. Sometimes it'll be some really cool science thing that she found or a meme she found funny. You can interact with her and get to know her there. She's really great fun. Highly recommend. Next, we have the Druid's Den, who is also a valued member. The lady who runs it is called the Druid Fox, and the Druid Den is also the name of her blog, which you can find on WordPress. She does a lot of book reviews, but she also talks a lot about what it is to practice Druidry. She is non-denominational. She has a lot of good information. She's very, very fair-minded. And when she does her book reviews, she goes into a pretty deep analysis. She tries to be very even-handed. And also, if an author has confused their politics with paganism, that is something that she points out. And she also makes mention of whether or not their insertion of that where it doesn't belong, if it's overpowering the text, or if the text is, pretty well useful, you just have, the author going off on a little personal soapbox moment. So she's definitely worth checking out. She has the most extraordinary memory for details and facts, really interesting to talk to. And of course, if you come to Druid's Den, not only will you find links to her content, you'll also have an opportunity to get to know her. And then we have a Nocturnal Pagan. This is from another member of the group, a very nice young man. He practices primarily at night, as you might have guessed from the title. And he runs a YouTube channel called A Nocturnal Pagan, and he talks about some of the similarities and some of the differences between witchcraft as we commonly know it and a more nocturnal focused practice, what he's into, what he believes, how his perspective and his take on things. Now, he is in a bit of a pause at the moment. He just moved, and it's taking a little while to get the internet sorted out. I mean, if you've moved, you know what it's like to get all those ducks in a row. So in the meantime, while we are waiting for fresh episodes, you can go check out the content that he's already created. Leave him a like, leave him a comment, subscribe, give him some encouragement because all of these efforts, every channel and every blog that really talks about pagan belief and pagan practices and pagan anything, this builds our modern culture and our modern lore, and it's all part of the larger puzzle, and it gives people more perspectives to think from. They're not stuck with, oh, well, this is what mainstream paganism says, so I guess that must be it. These are other voices that have their own unique perspectives, and it's worth investigating, particularly if you're new. And then our last channel within this category is Witch on Witch. This is a collaborative project between myself and Wiccan Conservative. Primarily in this particular channel, we talk about just anything to do with the craft. Our first episode was about the initiation issue because that's always been rather controversial within witchcraft circles. Last week we talked about what it is to have a pagan household, how that's different from, the household down the street that's Methodist, or the one over there that's Jewish, or the one that's Buddhist, about what really makes us unique, how we look at our homes a lot differently. We get underneath the skin of things. We are brainstorming new topics. And of course, we also do collaboration on a Wiccan Conservatives channel as well, which we'll see if that has its own spotlight, or we'll see if we combine them all just for ease of access. We'll see how that goes. But this is where we have conversations between ourselves, and we are also exploring the possibility of bringing on guests in the very near future, so that you can get even more of a variation of opinion and different perspectives, because that can help give you a more well-rounded idea of, not just things about witchcraft, but also ideas about life. And I think that's something we're missing in a lot of public commentary. But that does it for the member spotlight channels. On to the next category. The next category is witch lore and practices, and this will be particularly useful as a reference for people who do practice the craft, or those who are interested in doing so, or have a particular interest in one of the topics within this category. The first is astrology. Every single day I post where all of the planets are in, what signs, with a little notation of what these various energies represent. I treat it essentially as the esoteric equivalent of a daily weather report. We go to the news to see what the weather is going to be, to see if we need an umbrella, if we need to put on our sunblock. And for astrology, it gives us an idea of what kind of energy is floating around in the ether that it can impact upon us and upon the people around us. And then we can make needed adjustments as things go along. But it just gives us a general idea of what's out there. Another member, almost every single day, very, very faithful, she will post a copy of what the horoscope is in her local newspaper. They have a fantastic astrologer whose readings are really spot on, and it just gives you a little extra insight about what's going on and what the day is really good for, what direction the energy is moving in, how you can take best advantage of that in your own life. Now, astrology is a very complicated subject. It is a discipline unto itself, and I am definitely do not represent myself as being an expert. So as time goes on, I'm intending to also put more educational astrological information on this, so we can all kind of learn together, get better at this, and understand how these energies interact with one another. So give me some time, and there will be more efforts on that. But in the meantime, if anyone at Blackbird's Brew wants to contribute that information, please, please, please do. I would absolutely welcome it. There's a lot of different ways of looking at astrology. There's so much to learn. It's so detailed. Anything that helps that process along is very, very helpful. Our next channel is the Chakras channel. This was originally a workshop that was constructed by a former member. She's been going through a lot of stress lately, so she's taking a bit of a break from, well, everything, detoxifying. But she created a workshop specifically meant to not just teach you how to activate your chakras or how to move energy from them, but also to help you assess the condition that your chakras are in and learn how to heal from them. A lot of good information about that. And of course, as time goes on, I'm going to be adding even more information about chakra work, because if we can get our chakras working in order, that means our meridians are moving energy the way they're supposed to, which means our auras are in better shape, which means we are in better shape for our practices and just as general human beings. Our next channel is divination, which is exactly what it says like. Whether you work with tarot or runes or ogham, crystal balls or tea leaves or whatever else it is that you use for divination, you can share what you do here. You can share information, how-tos, readings that you've had. You can request readings, probably from me. If you're wanting a reading from me, we'd better stick with tarot at this time. I don't feel ultra confident enough working with runes to give readings for other people just yet. But that is something that I'm happy to offer the members. And also, if there are other people who read the tarot, you would like a reading from them, that's something that you can make a request for. And if you are new to reading and you would like some guinea pigs and some experienced people to help you just kind of fill in the blanks and get a little bit more nuance out of your readings, that is something that we can also set up a time for, and you can request that in the divination channel. Also in the divination channel, I make sure that I post at least because I tend to go in cycles. I'll use ogham 1 month, tarot 1 month, and runes 1 month. And most of these are not so much representing the energy of the day, although sometimes they do, but it's more so a point of meditation, something that we can really think about as we're contemplating this particular card, what it really represents, and then we can relate that to things in our own lives and in our own experience. And it's a way of getting better acquainted with these tools and also just getting more comfortable with them in general. Now, the channel under divination is dream interpretation, which is just as it sounds like. People share their dreams, people offer their thoughts on their dreams. I think dream interpretation is by far the most subjective aspect of practicing witchcraft. Even though we have a lot of good books that offer some insights on common symbols and things you might want to watch out for when you're trying to interpret your own dreams or someone else's, but those books only take us so far, because at the end of the day, the imagery that comes up in someone's dream, that is coming from their unconscious mind. And it's not so much a question of what do those symbols mean to everyone else in the world as what do those symbols mean to the person having the dream. So a lot of it does come down to conversations, analysis, asking questions, and just trying to get an intuitive gauge of, are we getting warmer towards something that feels right, and this might be what someone's mind is trying to communicate to them, or are we getting colder and maybe that's not the message that their brain is trying to give their conscious mind. So it's very interesting, and everyone is very welcome to participate in that for sure. Now, the next three channels, we have magical flora and herb lore, we have magical fauna, animal spirits, and then we have magical gems, minerals, and metals. I have rotation and a posting on these. They're just tiny little tidbits. It's not meant to be an exhaustive explanation or discussion on, the symbolism and the spiritual meaning of X, Y, or Z, and here's all the different ways you can use it, and so on and so forth. This is just about whetting our appetite, just keeping a hand in the game, reminding ourselves of what these means. I find that if I interact with information regularly, I'm much more likely to remember it. So I bring these up as sort of flashcards, little mental flashcards that we can kind of stow away and make use of as we see fit. And also, if you have information of your own to add, please do. Book recommendations on the topics, please let us know. And none of these channels are for any one person's exclusive use. This is all interactive community property kind of channels. And the last channel in this is Magical Potpourri, and it's for all the stuff that doesn't fit neatly into these other categories. And you can add to that at will, video, links, articles, your blogs, your thoughts, we have a lot of memes, a lot of images, whatever that just pops into your head or what you happen to be thinking about. Oh, also, speaking of, I should have mentioned this a moment ago when I was talking about the correspondence channels. Lately, what I have been doing is all of this correspondences within a given month have been centered around a particular theme. This month in June, they have all centered around Letha, so everything that you see pop up is going to relate to that in some way. And the lore that I mentioned to it is also going to relate to the summer solstice celebration. Next month, the correspondences are going to be focused around the water element. So I hope that makes you a little bit more interesting. This is also a way for us to get better acquainted with what certain concepts and certain energies are by seeing all the things that relate to them. It gives us a more nuanced understanding of the flavor of that energy. But June is Letha, July is water, and then August it'll be Lunasa. And you'll just have to come back and see what's going to be going on in September. But that does it for witch lore and practices. And now for Pagan Lore by Pantheons. I deliberately did this because I know some people have a very close working relationship with specific gods from particular cultural extractions, and I thought it would just be more organized and easier for everyone to concentrate all of this information, whether it's historical, archaeological, religious, modern day practice, information about the gods, and all of those things. I thought it'd just be easier to divide those up by their cultural origins. So we currently have Celtic lore, Egyptian lore, Greco-Roman, Native American, and Norse. Now, of course, there are other pantheons that people can work with, and if someone comes into the Brew and this is something they really want to talk about and they're passionate about it, I am very happy to create another channel for your specific pantheon. All I ask is that you make use of the channel, which seems fair enough. So you can add video, you can add article links. You can add memes, visuals, pictures, your own thoughts, any and everything having to do with this. Please share your experiences, particularly if you have a good working relationship with specific deities. You never know when you might be connecting with someone else who is also working with that deity, or who is just wanting a few tips and tricks about how to approach different deities within this pantheon that you're more familiar with. So this is another way where I thought it might be helpful for people to gravitate towards those who share their common interests. I make sure there's at least one post in all of these channels every single day. I think it's important to be active, and whether it's a really informative information or just kind of information, I figure if people are interacting with it and they're explaining, why something isn't a very good source of information or why something is really fantastic, that has an overall good effect. It illustrates the process of separating the wheat from the chaff, which is very helpful for news seekers, and also helps get them into the thought process of you are going to be doing this with your studies all of the time. And the more you know about something specific, the more you're going to be able to make this differentiation between what's useful and what isn't. So that is pagan lore and pantheons. Our next category is pagan culture. I think it's very important that we start building up pagan culture with intention. Our numbers are definitely growing. And also, when we express ourselves through art or craft, music, storytelling, how we run our homes, just the way we approach life in general, this is a way of allowing non pagans a chance to get to know us and see us for who we really are, and not all the hype that sometimes gets lumped down on top of us. So I like to encourage any and all creative efforts, and our first channel within this category is pagan art. I want to showcase as many pagan artists as what we can. I want their work to be seen. I want them to be able to benefit and profit by all of their efforts. And pagan art is one way to let us see what it is that people are creating, get the sense of this different styles and just what's out there, and just be able to appreciate it, because they are touching on pagan themes. They're touching on our mythologies, on our gods, and who we are as people, just the very core of our spiritual being. And there's a way of communicating that through visuals that could never be expressed in words. Our next category is pagan crafts. So whether you are looking for something to do with one of our holidays, or you're wanting something that's very witchy specific for your home, or culturally specific with the pantheon that you work with, or you're wanting to get the kids involved in a way that is age appropriate for them, actually age appropriate, because our faith does encompass every single area of life. And let's face it, the kids need to get older before they're made aware of all of the details about some of those things. But crafting is a way to do that, to give them an idea of what the spirit of something is, how they can incorporate and be more hands-on with spirituality. That way, as they get older, they can make their own decisions about whether or not paganism is really the way they want to go. Hopefully they do, because I think that would be really wonderful. But we have video tutorials, we have article links, we have people showing off their current projects, we have inspiration photos, and a lot of these are not particularly expensive, which I think is pretty important these days. The next channel in this category is pagan music. So whether it is a group of musicians or singers who are pagan, or whether the content of the music is touching on pagan themes, or if there's just something of a pagan vibe about it. Something that is, getting in touch with the natural world and really rooted in all of those energies. A lot of this is good for ritual music, and it also increases exposure for various artists. Mostly this is YouTube uh, video links, because that's where I tend to find pagan music. But other resources for pagan music are out there, and I hope in time more people will share that and also share their playlists, what specific artists they like, and so on and so forth. That way we can all see and have a better idea of what's actually out there. Next, we have pagan storytelling. Storytelling is so key to paganism. I mean, the reason why our religions continue to survive is because we keep telling the story. We keep trying to understand it more. We keep bringing our own perspective to it. And what did we learn from this? And this is why you continually to see novels and poems and short stories, and and to prayers even. I mean, this is something where I've even posted prayers on occasion, just because I think that is all part of the storytelling. This is how we are building up pagan narrative and our own pagan culture. So whether it's your own workings or someone else's, pagan storytelling, there's a place to go for that. And sometimes I do find things that are also good in children's literature. Next, we have the pagan housewife. No, it is not confined to the use of actual housewives. This is about elevating the domestic sphere and acknowledging its role and importance. I would think in the post-lockdown world, I think we should all have an increased appreciation for our homes because since people were shut indoors for so long, I think it kind of matters whether or not a house is well organized, if it's well run, if things are going the way that they should. I think it's important for our spirituality to be reflected in our homes. I think it's important for our homes to be as pleasant an environment as what we can manage to create for ourselves, our spouse, our children, even for our animals. All of this energy is coming together, and it should be an oasis from the hubbub of the rest of the world. So there are practical tips in here, there are decorative tips, and there should be a little something for everyone there as you start incorporating more of your path into your daily living. And then at the bottom, we have pagan homesteading. We have this also touches on the subject of prepping because we live in very uncertain times, and it's just prudent to look after ourselves and our families as best as what we can. I mean, doing something is definitely better than doing nothing, and we can't be completely insulated from every possible disaster that could occur in life, but we could be better positioned to where we are more likely to survive and more likely to thrive. Newer member, Sigrun Gregerson, she regularly contributes her videos. She talks a lot about her prepping and practical life skills and how to think, how to best survive in cases of emergency. This is all on her channel, Universal Pagan Temple. She's very forthright. She's very calm. She's not here to scare you. She's here to say, you know, things could happen, and here's some ideas about what to do in preparation in the event that it does. So I think that's important stuff to keep in mind. And also this helps us learn. And also this is also where I post a lot of gardening tips because I'm an amateur gardener, and it's good to just get more acquainted with these life skills. I mean, you never know when they might come in handy. So that is pagan culture. Now, this category is the Wheel of the Year, where we focus on all of our various seasonal celebrations. Now, I realize not every pagan or witch on every single pagan or witchcraft path observes these exact holidays, but they are seasonal in nature, and usually there's something seasonal in other paths that corresponds with the general main themes of these main 8. So we have Yule, Imbolc, Astara, Beltane, Letha, Lunasa, Mabon, and Samhain. There's usually some kind of holiday that fits in with the spirit of those, and this is the place to put that information. There's so much lore and history and different practices in different parts of the world. There's music, there's food ideas, there's recipes, ritual robe ideas, even ritual ideas, spell work we can do at this time, information about various gods, magical correspondences, any and everything having to do with our holidays. They all have their own particular channel, and this could be presented with pictures or text or article links or video format, whatever your heart so desires, whatever is really speaking to you. I think that really our holidays and getting into the spirit of them is another aspect in which we do build up pagan culture and say, you know, we're here, we exist, we're enjoying these seasonal times of the years, and these mean this to us, and we're expressing that belief with our decor and just different things that we do at different times of the year. It makes our paths a lot more real, and also it gives us something to look forward to, especially if you have kids. The pagan holidays are a great way to get them familiar with a lot of your own beliefs in a very non-threatening and a non-indoctrinational kind of way. So lots of ideas in the Wheel of the Year, and that's all. Now for workshops and classes, because we know that this path is something in which we never stop learning. Sometimes we need refresher courses. Sometimes there are classes that are really set up to benefit newcomers. In either case, this is where we are going to start keeping all of these things. Right now, I am doing a Wicca 101 class, which you can see on YouTube, Rumble, and BitChute. It airs every single Saturday. Wicca 101 is going to last through the end of August, and then in September we will begin with Wicca 202. So lots to look forward to there. Now, at the top of At the channels and the workshops and classes categories, we have the study hall. This is where I put the homework assignments for Wicca 101 for anyone who wants to be actively involved in it. And it's also a place where you can ask questions, voice concerns, offer comments, and just if you are wanting to talk about any of the information presented in the entire class or on a specific one, this is the place where you can really do that. You can get in touch with me, and if you're wondering, okay, you said X, Y, and Z, I wasn't sure where you were going with that. This is the place where you can ask me to clarify that and also go into more detail if that is what you are wanting to do. Now, as time goes on and we add more classes, I don't know if I will add additional study halls. We'll just have to see. I know we're at least going to be having Wicca 202, and then the year after that, we'll have Wicca 303. Also in September, I'm going to be going heavily into a study session on everything having to do with Norse spirituality and the Norse approach to witchcraft. This will essentially be cataloging my journey, and hopefully it will help people who are maybe a little bit intimidated to start off their spiritual explorations or are worried about shifting spiritual gears. Hopefully this will take some of that, some of the trepidation out for you, and you see, oh, well, people do this, and they they're processing information as they go along. Their thoughts evolve, their understandings evolved, and I guess I'm trying to present that particular journey, and also to encourage people if they are feeling that urge to shake things up, or if they are at the very beginnings, that it is going to be okay. This is a process that all of us in paganism go through, sometimes multiple times in our lifetimes, and we come out the other side. And it's just part of the journey of how we are learning and growing and getting more connected with the divine. So that is pretty much workshops and classes. In time, if other members are interested in, I would also like to see other people within the membership teach their own classes, have their own workshops about whatever subject that you really feel qualified to teach in, that you feel like you have something of value to offer people. Now, as with the member spotlight channels, this will be reserved for people who, at least I have gotten to know, people who are regularly engaged members on the server. They're not just talking to me, they're talking to other members, they're forming relationships, they're building community, and they're also showing that they're capable of sustaining an actual class, and that once they begin something, that they will actually finish it. So it's a little bit of a higher bar, definitely, for sure. But if we're going to attract new people in time, I want to make sure that when someone offers a class to them, that they are actually getting benefit of them. Just so it's clear, these classes are offered free of charge. I'm not interested in getting into someone's pocket in order to do what, honestly, I think I have a duty to do as a practitioner. Yes, I have learned certain things, and now it is time for me to pass those things on. So I would also be looking for teachers who are of a similar mindset. So that does it for workshops and classes. Just one more category to go. Last but not least, we have our voice channel category. Now, the lovely thing about voice is that it adds another dimension to the community. We're not just limited to text messages and videos and interacting in that way. No, we can get together in these voice channels, hear each other's voices. We also have video capability. Sometimes the video is a little so it kind of depends on what mood Discord is in, whether or not we use the video. But we always have the voice, which is reasonably reliable. And it makes a lot of difference. You just feel like you are getting to know a person a little bit better if you can hear their tone of voice. This is how we evolved to communicate. All text all the time. I mean, that's something that really has not been a process of human evolution. So I really love it when we have our get-togethers in the lounge. The lounge is available to all of the members at all times for any reason. If you want to jump in and someone else wants to jump in with you, you can talk for as long as your heart so desires. It is absolutely there for your use. It serves a similar function to the chit chat channel, only you're able to actually hear voices in it. Now, we do have a weekly gathering in the lounge. It's on Wednesday evenings at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, 5:30 Mountain Time, and 4:30 Pacific Time. And this is when I call the group together. I'd say, hey, I'm popping into the lounge. Who wants to talk? And we visit and we talk about philosophical and spiritual matters, anything that's going on in someone's mind. Also, if you are wanting to practice your tarot skills, bring your deck and say, hey, happy to do readings. Does anyone want one? This is a way to have a much more interactive experience. And, no topic is off limits. We can do whatever. And it's just a nice way to come together with other people. Now, below that, we have the workshop channels, which as we get more interest in various classes and workshops that come to be created here, I'm hoping that we will have set up times to where people go into the workshop, they focus on this topic, or they focus on a particular book that they're reading, or whatever else that it is, and just get underneath the skin of it. Just analyze it absolutely to death and see what gems you can come out with on the other side. It's a great chance to pick each other's brains, and I think it'd be very helpful for the ongoing learning process. And the bottom voice channel is Two Cauldrons. That's for my use and Wiccan Conservatives use. This is where we record most of our episodes for the Witch on Witch series. So that is all of the categories and all of the channels at Blackbird's Brew. These are open to everyone. They are for everyone's use, and I hope you will come see us soon. Make use of them yourself, get to know us, and to become part of a growing community. So I think that does it. Thank you for tuning in and staying with me this long. I really appreciate it. I will see you in the next one.